Excellency, Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, President of the Republic of Liberia, the Dean and members of the Cabinet, the Doyen and members of the Diplomatic Corps, heads of international organizations, platform guests, special invitees, special guests, other officials of government, development partners, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On the occasion marking the launch of the high-level panel on migration, I'm pleased to invite Ambassador Manjom V. Kamara, Minister of Foreign Affairs, for our welcome remarks.
It's a great pleasure to welcome you this morning to this very important event, the launch of a high-level panel on migration. I want to issue a special word of welcome to those who have come from afar, across seas, to be here to the people of Liberia. Very honored by your presence, and we wish you a very blessed stay. To observe, you have observed, if you've been here for a day or two, that this is the rainy season. So it may not facilitate your movement from one spot to the other, but you should have a very, very good rest. That's what the rain does for you, makes you sleep even better. The importance of this event today is cannot be overstated, because we all are very close to the migration issue. It comes to us daily as we watch our television, hear the news, what's happening to those who attempt to cross the seas, especially from Ghana. At this panel, we'll be focusing on migration in Africa, and I think it's fair to say that even the regional economic conditions of our continent are looking at this issue from the perspective of the impact of migration on the transformation process that is going on in our continent. I think we want to ensure that the flow as it is now doesn't continue the irregular manner that it's proceeding at this point, and we all have an interest in doing something that makes it brings migration somehow under some kind of control, that there's some rules of engagement that we can all follow, the extent to which we can collaborate better in Africa to manage migration. And so with those words, I again say you are most welcome, and we hope that the discussions that we proceed mainly under the auspices of the Economic Commission of Africa will succeed in reaching of the
members in attendance of the high-level panel on migration.
I was wondering,
We shall now invite His Excellency Ambassador Lord Volberg, former Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Norway.
Let me first of all thank the African Union and the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, together with the African Development Bank, for establishing the high-level panel on international migration, and the IOM for its participation, and you, Madam President, for taking on the important task of chairing the panel. The government of Norway is very pleased with this initiative, and I feel privileged and honored to have been chosen to be part of such a distinguished group of people. As we all are aware, migration is the result of multiple combinations of different causes that can be traced to an almost unique set of reasons for each individual. Migration has happened at all times. People have migrated throughout history to seek a better future for themselves and for their families. But migration should be a choice, not a must. However, we know that today, as in the past, large groups of people see themselves forced to move because of terror, wars, social upheaval, or lack of economic opportunities. When addressing the drivers of migration, our primary focus should be to address the so-called push factors, the factors that make people decide to uproot and leave their homes. Often there is no other alternative when the situation is life-threatening or the family cannot be fed. Today's globalized world has changed and highlighted the nature and volume of migration. Migration has always been part of a natural development process within Africa. However, during the last decades, African countries have hosted more refugees from the continent itself than has the rest of the world. The large migration and refugee flows show the need for improved cooperation and coordination between countries, regions and organizations, with civil society and with the people affected. Agenda 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals provide us with a unique opportunity. For the first time, the whole world has signed up to leave no one behind. I believe that sustainable development can alter the drivers of migration. Sustainable Development Goal number 16 calls for peaceful and inclusive societies, justice for all, and accountable institutions. Agenda 2030 has created a framework that can help us foster the positive effects of migration on development and to find common solutions. Joint efforts and more systematic exchange of information can help improve the current realities for many migrants. This panel on international migration provides a good platform for addressing some of the most pressing issues: the drivers of migration, the need for solid, reliable data, and coherent policies. I'm very pleased that the private sector also will be represented in the panel. It is my hope that we, the panelists, under your wise leadership, Madam President, will mobilize political will amongst governments in Africa and abroad, regional and international organizations, civil society, business and other stakeholders in support of adopting the necessary policies to facilitate the orderly, safe, regular and responsible migration and mobility of people, including through the implementation of planned and well-managed migration policies. I look forward to today's presentations and to participate in the work of the panel in the coming months. I hope our work can champion the new development paradigm enshrined in Agenda 2030 and Agenda 2063 for Africa. And I'm very, very much looking forward to working under your great leadership, Madam President. So thank you for hosting us, and thank you for your commitment to this course. Thank you.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I now invite Ms. Amat Migash, founder, Africa Diaspora Network, USA, for remarks.
Migration has always been part of life. People have migrated for generations for many reasons. And Africa has created a system in which migration would be easier to go from one country to the other. Unfortunately, we have to get to leave where we come from. So I am originally from Eritrea. And my people have been decimated in the oceans just to try to get to a better life. So what I wanted to say is that this panel is so critical to finding a way to really bring these children home. This is their home. Africa is their home. They do have the right to migrate. Unfortunately, they are looked as if they are taking something. But let me give you a context of what the African diaspora is. The continent gets $35 billion in remittance, 3 times more than it gets from aid. We are the economic engine wherever we go. Africans in the diaspora, especially those of us, the contemporary diaspora in the United States, we are $50 billion in savings worth $35 billion in remittance. We give back to whichever community we live in or be part of. Unfortunately, that is not always looked. But then I don't blame the countries that are very angry with migration from other parts of the world, and especially from Africa. I like to bring back the question to the continent. What would it look like? A movement of people from north to south, east to west. Can you imagine Africa being built by their own children in their own continent, which is the motherland, rather than moving around and decimated, looking for better life? There are some really good, hopeful things happening in Africa, and I like to mention and shout out for Uganda. In the past few years, Uganda alone took 800,000 South Sudanese immigrants, refugees in the country. At the beginning, they were giving them, this is the thing, you see, if you look at migration as this negative thing, you would always actually think it is a negative thing. But actually, it's a fantastic economic engine. So for Uganda, I think this is a case study for all of us to look into, and I personally am very interested. At the beginning, Uganda was actually giving them land to farm and land to build homes. Why would they farm? Because that is an economic engine. Africa is based on agriculture. Uganda has seen this as a potential. Now, if we want to keep our children at home, in this country, in this continent, beautiful continent, Liberia, everywhere I go, it's green. My first time at the most beautiful greenery I have ever seen. This is the land of opportunity and a great land. I think we need to back off a little bit and say, ask this question. What would it look like if we start to take care of our own children ourselves? And I would like to be a part of that discussion. People have the right to migrate, I'm not saying don't. But I would rather do this migration based on some other needs rather than out of desperation. Because our people are living out of desperation. When I was asked to join this panel, I had to think about whether this is something I could actually contribute to. But then I did some thinking and I said, yeah, maybe I could be a part of something that is so transformative. And the whole idea of this group, and I do hope to be a part of it and contribute in any way I can, would be, I would like to be part of a discussion. What would it look like if Africa can keep their children in Africa? Thank you, and I look forward to working with you.
Shall I invite Madam Maureen Achinzi? She's the Chief of Mission and Representative to AU, UNICA, and IE of the IE.
It's an honor and distinct pleasure to be at this distinguished gathering in Monrovia, Liberia, representing Ambassador Laura Thompson, the IM Deputy Director General. Ambassador Thompson was unable to be in Liberia for this critical inaugural meeting, owing to calendar of event conflicts over which she had little control. I also take this opportunity to assure the organizers that Ambassador Thompson remains deeply committed to being an active member of this high-level panel on migration. I would also like to convey the congratulations of IM to Your Excellency President Sirleaf, who with the support of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa has taken on the challenge of leading this most timely initiative, a high-level panel on migration. It is about time that African issues were viewed and framed from an African perspective. And we are persuaded that this initiative, under the stewardship of UNECA and the African Union Commission, and with the support of our partners, will do just that. Someone once described migration as something of a wicked problem, owing to its difficult, changing, and sometimes contradictory nature, resulting in resistance to its resolution. At the outset, let me state that IM does not view migration as a problem. Irregular migration, yes, is a problem. Otherwise, migration is a phenomenon that has and will, in all likelihood, continue to be with us for decades, indeed centuries to come. For as long as economic disparities within and between countries continue to exist, in some instances even expand, people will continue to move from where there are fewer opportunities to where there are more opportunities, from environments that are degraded to environments that are better equipped to cater to their needs, and from places where peace is elusive to places where a life free from physical danger can be assured. I am content that migration is a reality of life that has to be managed and governed. It's not a problem to be solved. While we do not agree with some of these characterizations of migration, it has to be acknowledged, though, that migration is indeed a complex phenomenon. The proverbial story of the blind man and the elephant makes for a fitting analogy here. If a blind man were to feel an elephant and was asked to describe it, his description will no doubt depend on what part of the elephant he happens to be touching. He may reach the conclusion that the elephant feels like a tree trunk if he's touching the elephant's leg. On the other hand, if he happens to be feeling the side of the elephant, he may well decide that the elephant feels like a wall. Even more confusing, if the blind man were to stretch out his hand and touch the ear of the elephant, he could probably reach the conclusion that an elephant is like a big leaf flapping in the wind. The same goes for migration. Depending on one's perspective, migration means many different things all at once. For some, it has to be stopped, while for others, it has to be encouraged, given the positive role it has played. Others still believe that it has too many costs and hazards, and yet for others, it brings a lot of benefits for society at large, not to mention for the migrants themselves. The truth is that all of these perspectives are valid. This situation does not represent a zero-sum game. Collectively, just like with the elephant story, all perspectives add up to paint a full picture of what migration is. Sadly, migration today is increasingly viewed as a problem rather than the forceful good that it historically has been. For context, a brief examination of the global migration scene might be helpful. Today, 1 billion of the planet's 7 billion inhabitants are considered to be migrants, and these include refugees as well as domestic migrants, making migration possibly the #1 defining megatrend of the 21st century. More than at any other time in recorded history, more people are on the move, and migration has become a priority for virtually every country in the world, with south-south migration increasingly of importance. Migration is happening to such an extent that most countries are simultaneously, and to varying degrees, countries of origin, transit, and destination for international migrants. Based on current projections, it is estimated that if migration continues to grow at the same pace, within 20 years, the number of international migrants and internal migrants could reach 405 million by the year 2050, essentially doubling in the next 35 years. One of the 5 drivers of the anticipated sharp rise in numbers of people on the move is the ongoing demographic transition that is already resulting in large numbers of unemployed youth in countries of the global south and aging populations in countries of the global north. Statistics have now laid out quite clearly that international migration from Africa is largely intra-Africa. That is, it takes place across borders rather than across oceans. Migration from Africa to other world regions is taking place on a much lower level than one might think. There are an estimated 7.5 million West African migrants in West Africa compared to 1.2 million between North America and Europe combined. As in other world regions, there is consensus that economic considerations remain the primary motivating factor in the decision of migrants to migrate, be it within Africa or across oceans. People ultimately migrate to improve their economic well-being. Migration, therefore, can rightly be perceived as a response, sometimes exaggerated, to economic incentives arising from the inequalities between and within sectors of the economy, as well as between countries and regions. These factors, combined with an ongoing demographic transition that has resulted in a youth bulge in most African countries, and with increased ease of travel and unstoppable technological revolution, means that most people, especially the youth, are aware of opportunities that exist beyond their shores, beyond their borders. This all adds up to ensure that large-scale migration, most of it within Africa, is increasingly inevitable. In the face then of this growing global human mobility, and based on the understanding that most African migration is intra-Africa, we must interrogate the form that this migration is taking and examine what implications the reality of this migration implies for policy, if its benefits are to be harnessed and its real potential realized and downsides minimized. Having established that migration, African migration, is intra-regional, a closer examination is warranted. We know that most African migration remains within the continent, rural to urban, as well as trans-border within regional economic blocks. And yet, in Africa, as in many traditional countries of destination in the West, where there is sometimes an exaggerated sense of the extent to which immigration is touching their countries. Right here on the continent, immigrants, motivated by high unemployment in their home countries, have come to symbolize the outsiders that are coming in to take our jobs. Recognizing the importance and inevitability of migration, Africa has exhibited considerable leadership and political will by putting in place policy instruments to enhance its ability to better govern continental migration. In 2001, the African Union initiated a process that would culminate in 2006 in the Migration Policy Framework for Africa, a continental instrument that lays the policy standards for addressing migration at national and regional levels. The political will is further illustrated in recent inclusion of migration in Agenda 2063, the singular political document charting Africa's vision for a developed, peaceful, integrated continent for the next 50 years. Despite these positive strides, Africa has made to enhance migration governance at continental level are stark realities before us. Africa remains the least integrated of all world regions. To illustrate this point, it should be underlined that migration in Africa should be viewed as part of a broader agenda for economic integration and for fostering intra-Africa trade and investment. At present, and this despite the impressive strides in recent African integration efforts, intra-Africa trade remains low relative to all other regions. For Africa, this figure stands at 15%, far below the 60% for the European Union, 41% for North Africa, and 53% for East Asia. Africa is simply not trading enough with itself, and a lot of this has to do with the fact that Africans cannot move as freely on their continent as can citizens of other world regions. Lest the notion of free movement be misunderstood, it is important to state that the protocol on free movement in Africa that the African Union is championing does not advocate for a borderless Africa, at least not yet. Nor does it advocate for the abdication of state responsibility in decisions regarding who may enter or stay in country's territory. In its essential form, it implies political agreement and practical measures to ease some of the procedures and requirements to facilitate cross-border movement among agreed states, and to progress from this basic level of free movement to a more generous form of free movement, which would include the right to residence for extensive periods of time, and possibly take up employment or start a business and be joined by family members, as is currently allowed under the ECOWAS protocol on free movement. Free movement is the hallmark of regional economic integration, facilitating trade and economic growth across the continent. Free movement implies considerable economic benefits for both temporary and long-term migration in the economies of the continent. Aside from the traditional sectors such as tourism, we know that immigrants can and do increase economic efficiency by filling in gaps in low-skilled and high-skilled markets and increasing economic efficiency by reducing labor shortages. The establishment of the Africa Economic Community as envisioned in the Abuja Treaty of 1991 and the creation of the 8 regional economic communities constituting the building blocks of the Africa Economic Community reflects the vision of African countries for an integrated continent. Some progress towards the development of free movement regimes has been made in African regions, although this remains uneven, hence the need for continental free movement protocol. The Africa Development Index illustrates the extent to which Africa remains closed to Africans. Like its predecessor, the 2017 Visa Openness Index once again confirms previous assumptions that Africa is closed to Africans, but open to non-Africans. The report further confirms that Africans do not need a visa to travel to only 20% of other African countries. Africans can only get visa upon arrival in only 25% of other African countries. Africans require visas to travel to a total of 55% of other African countries. The reason for this unease with free movement is reportedly a concern about the risks posed by criminal elements crossing national borders. Unfortunately, concerns regarding linkages between state security and human mobility are often not founded in fact and only succeed in fostering human rights abuses and organized crime in the form of human trafficking, migrant smuggling, and producing a lot of social stigma around migrants, and it enhances their exploitation in the labor sector. The African Union Peace and Security Council, seating this year in 2017, reaffirmed its view that benefits of free movement far outweigh the risks, whether real or imagined. In conclusion, I would like to highlight key positions and recommendations that we hope the high-level panel on migration might consider taking forward. One is to champion the continental free movement, because this is an initiative that we, as an organization, are persuaded will ensure that both regular channels remain open and irregular migration pressures from Africa to Europe are minimized. Second is that the implied security challenges are by and large unproven as of now, based on champion countries for continental free movement. These are Seychelles, Rwanda, and Ghana. Third is that there is need for a stronger policy and legislative framework, as well as for enhanced migration governance on the continent if African countries are to be able to safely open up their borders to other Africans while managing the security risks. Fourth is on the question of human rights, and here I would like to underline that as an organization, IAM believes that human rights of migrants and the important contributions they make to societies have got to be recognized and the rights therefore protected. And the last policy recommendation is on the question of data, which a previous panelist touched on. Here we are, as an organization, convinced that achieving policy coherence regarding migration and development requires more effective data analysis, monitoring, and evaluation of its interconnection between migration and other policy domains. I would finish just by reiterating the point I made at the beginning, that migration is a fact of life, and therefore freer continental movement is the way to go, and it may well be inevitable. Tightening immigration controls has been happening in some destination countries in the global north, as in some countries of the global south, may seem politically attractive in the short term, but often ends up exacerbating the incidence of irregular migration. IAM views migration as an essential part of globalization. Closing the door to migrants and migration will only lead to a lose-lose situation for migrants and their families, as well as for the countries to which they potentially have the possibility to make a contribution. So I close by urging that we open up our eyes and see this elephant in its entirety, rather than just sections of it, as we often tend to do. I thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Madam Commissioner. I shall now invite you for the presentation of the African Migration Directive, the Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, Dr. Abdullah Hamda.
I'd like also to join the previous speakers in welcoming you to this, the launch of the high-level panel on migration on behalf of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, on behalf of our other colleagues, the African Union Commission and the UN family, particularly IOM and other partners. At the outset, allow me to extend my sincerest thanks to the President and the people and government of Nigeria for the warm hospitality extended to all of us since we arrived in this beautiful country. I wish also to highlight that the high-level panel on migration is being launched at an opportune time when the UN Family at Large is developing the Global Compact on Migration. We recall that last year in September, member states adopted the New York Declaration on Refugees and Migration, which sets out steps towards the achievement of a global compact for safe, orderly, and regular migration towards 2018. The Global Compact on Migration being a member state-driven process aimed at improving governance of migration. I'm equally pleased that prior to the New York Declaration, the 9th joint annual meeting of the African Union Specialized Technical Committee on Finance, Monetary Affairs, Economic Planning and Integration, and the Economic Commission for Africa Conference of African Ministers of Finance, Planning and Economic Development adopted a resolution in April last year, thereby requesting the Economic Commission for Africa and the African Union Commission to establish a high-level panel on international migration in Africa, and for providing it with necessary technical backstopping, which we are extremely honored to provide that. The resolution emphasizes the need to present a corrective narrative of African migration and to improve public understanding of the key challenges and opportunities of migration for Africa from a developmental perspective. We modeled this panel on the very successful experience of the high-level panel of illicit finance led by President Abdullah. And we hope that model has done Africa great. And I think under the leadership of Her Excellency are expected even to surpass that and put fame on the agenda of the world and African perspective on migration. And this is precisely the expectations of our people, our continent, and this planet. I think also this panel is coming at an opportune time. We all lived through the last 10-15 years of what some would call the return of the lost Africa, African narrative, and all that. I think the picture is far much complex than this, but I think the return of the lost is very much welcome. It did not come just as by accident. It came about because of the right leadership, the return of democracy, peace and security, and also ambitious macroeconomic policy, expenditure in commodity cycle and all that. Although we have witnessed it around 2015, 16, but I think the general trend is moving up. This sense of optimism and the positive aspect of seeing our continent moving in the right direction, we would like to see migration contributing to this positive trend by having an African perspective, which is essentially developmental. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, around the world, we are seeing a rise in anti-migrant sentiment and the prevalence of restrictive policies, as Maureen has listed. A number of people and policymakers, particularly in destination countries, fear that migration leads to loss of jobs, imposes heavy burden on public services, erodes social cohesion, and increases crime levels. Credible research in our institutions, IOM, World Bank, and many others demonstrate that these negative perceptions are factually not correct. Wage and employment effects of migration are relatively very small. Since migrants and nationals are not competing for the same jobs. In many countries, migrants have net positive effect on government budgets. Immigrants are less likely to commit serious crimes or be behind bars than nationals. Let us here not confuse this with the recent phenomenon of terrorism, which has its own dynamics and history and how it evolved in order. So it is not confusing with the millions of migrants who have been and will continue to be a positive force in the destination areas. Despite the international media being flooded with stories and images of large numbers of migrants, mostly from Africa, crossing the Mediterranean Sea into Europe, it is rather inter-African migration which dominates migrants' flows in the continent. Data shows that about 31 million Africans, or little more than 3% of the continent population, have migrated internationally. Of the total migrant stock in Europe, less than 12% are from Africa. Let me just pause briefly and share with you some statistics. I think with your permission, Your Excellency, the distribution of migrants to other destinations. Migrants from Africa to Europe compose about 9.2 million, represent only 12.1% of the total European migrants. Africa to Asia stock was only 4.1 million, comprising 5.5%. Africa to North America is even less, about 2.2 million, representing 4%. Of course, in Latin America, it's about 500,000, representing 0.06%. The 9 billion African migrants stored in Europe, only close to 5 billion are from North Africa. The migration phenomenon in Africa is actually an inter-African phenomenon. Let me share with you some of the statistics. More than 70% of the migrants are within West Africa region, 70%. In Southern Africa, it's about 65%. In Central Africa, about 50%. In the East, it's about 47%. Moving within the region, sub-region. All in North Africa has a different trend of about 90% of the migrants moving to destinations outside the continent. If you look also at the profile of the African migrants, they tend to be very young, 15 to 40 years old. Women constitute now close to 50%, 59%, which is extremely interesting. Nearly 15% of the tertiary educated products migrate outside the country. Beside good governance and climate change, unemployment is the main key driver of the migration. So I think, although inter-African migration is the predominant type on the continent, travel in Africa by Africans is curtailed by stringent visa requirements, excessive border controls, migration restrictions, and immigration restrictions that increase the cost and risk of migration, and often come in conflict with individual motivations to migrate and state restrictions on mobility. The conflict facilitates the demand for private non-state entrepreneurs, including smugglers, facilitating often with dangerous consequences. Our studies at ECA indicate that Africa will account for 3.2 billion, projected 4 billion increase in the global population by 2100. The working age of population of the continent, particularly youth, is also expected to rise 2.1 billion by 2020, compared to a net global increase of only 2 billion. Sequently, its youth population, the potential to increasingly become the major economic driving force behind Africa's projected economic growth in the coming years. However, absence of hope to these growing numbers, alternative is to migrate and seek opportunities where they are perceived to exist. And I think here, this year's theme, the African Union, on harnessing demographic evidence for development, particularly focusing on youth, is extremely timely. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, migration has the potential to bring a significant contribution to the economic growth and human development of Africa. If it is tackled in a holistic manner and mainstream appropriately in development planning and strategies to eradicate poverty, enable job creation, and achieve economic transformation. In the framework, the consultative activities of the high-level panel to provide overall guidance and support the policy dialogue for shaping an African perspective on international migration in Africa. Allow me to share with you about 6 points in this debate, maybe to contribute to the work of the panel. First, the need to integrate population dynamics, including migration and age structure, development planning at the international, national, and subnational levels, in order to comprehensively respond to population and development issues, including population dynamics and its implications for human rights, dignity, quality of life, poverty eradication, social protection, health and sustainable development. This will lead to optimizing the outcomes of population and development programs and achieving sustainability and inclusivity of development in the country. On the one hand, we are observing aging population on one side of the world and the young population on the other side. There is a perfect opportunity and synergy for complementarities rather than conflict. Second, the requirement to acquire better data, including disaggregated data, as well as a robust monitoring framework for migration. Although the demands for reliable data have increased in recent years, timely and quality disaggregated data on migration are often scarce. This makes it challenging for decision makers to develop effective and informed migration policies. You would agree with me that the more to goes, if we cannot measure it, we cannot improve on it. So statistics on migration becomes a key issue. Third, the rationale for coherence and coordination of policies and actions on migration and development. Migration needs to be mainstreamed appropriately in development planning and strategies. And here I think this will call for an integration of migration into SDGs, which is already there, but also into Agenda 2063 our own. It is also important for us to recognize the role of free movement of people and labor mobility as an important enabler for regional integration and economic development of the continent. Africans still need visa to travel to 55% of other African countries. Implementation of continent-wide visa-free regimes, including issuance of visas at ports of entry for Africans, will result in significant increases in trade and investment among African countries and in the strengthening of Africa's place in the global trade. We know so well that African trade today stands around 12 to 15%, which is very low, the lowest compared to any other region in the world, more than 60% or 70% in Europe, 40% in Asia, 60% in America. So this is very low, but I think the hope is that this year we are expecting to achieve the continental free trade area. Although it's a tall order, it's part of the Bolivia Treaty milestones and all that. Let us surprise the world and ourselves by making it reality. Fifth, the importance of forging partnership to strengthen the overall response to migration issues as a cross-border phenomenon. There is a key opportunity for the government to enhance existing partnerships and to build new ones. No single country can address migration when acting alone. Sharing and leveraging our joint knowledge, resources, and assets expands our coverage, helps overcome obstacles, reaching people, and builds resilience. And six, the necessity to develop a tangible framework that can lead to effective sharing of responsibilities and fair partnership to promote well-managed migration. And for us in Africa, it must be a developmental framework. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the high-level panel on migration is expected to address all these issues by way of utilizing political will among the governments in Africa and abroad, regional and international organizations, civil society, business, and other stakeholders in support of adopting the necessary policies for the orderly, regular, and responsible migration and mobility of people, including through the implementation of land and well-managed migration policies. Furthermore, the findings and policy recommendations of the high-level panel are intended to culminate in the production of a final outcome document that will inform decision-making processes and enhance public opinion and debate. In closing, I wish to emphasize the fact that migration is an inevitable part of human experience. I assure you that it is certainly necessary to achieve Africa's development potential if well done. Hence, at this year, we are indeed committed to provide necessary technical backstopping for conducting background research and forming an outcome document for the high level. I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you. Platform guests, Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. For the launching the high-level panel on migration, I'm pleased and honored to invite Her Excellency, the President of the Republic of Liberia. Madam President.
Distinguished panelists, officials of government, development partners, special guests, the Economic Commission for Africa family, representative of the International Office of Migration. It's a great pleasure to welcome you today for the launching of the high-level panel on international migration. This is an important subject for everyone because all over the world, migration has become a major issue that poses problems for every country in the world. Just last week, many of you may recall, some 40 young men and women died of thirst in the Sahara Desert while trying to reach Europe. More than 1,000 have perished in the Mediterranean Sea since the beginning of this year. In many places in Europe today, a mixture of migrants from diverse backgrounds have been living in the streets under conditions that can best be described as inhumane. This is the ugly face of migration. However, there are positive aspects of the movement of people across countries and borders that can be looked at from various perspectives. Migration is an integral part of human history. If Africa is said to be the origin of humanity, we can rightly say that the movement of the people of Africa has populated the world from an initial point somewhere in Kenya. Liberia is a nation founded by migration. In the early 19th century, freed slaves from the Americas moved on to these lands to start what has become the modern nation of Liberia, a country which attracted people from across the continent and beyond the oceans. Therefore, we are well placed to know both the positive and the negative aspects of migration. Between March and April in Addis Ababa, the African Ministers of Planning, Finance and Economic Development passed a resolution mandating the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa and the African Union Commission to provide the necessary technical support to a high-level panel to reflect on issues surrounding migration within and without the continent. This is a tremendous task, but a serious work that has been kept on this issue in the past to collect the data, the knowledge, address the movements across the continent. The role of the high-level panel would be, among others, to focus on the following issues. Carry out advocacy and sensitization programs to create a broad coalition of support that will be instrumental in implementing recommendations when the work has been concluded in July 2018. Undertake consultations to promote the main issues, opportunities, and challenges of African migration for origin, transit, and destination countries. collect data and reports of experts' meetings and workshops that discuss strategies on how to harness the benefits of migration and mitigating the challenges. Develop a major set of knowledge and policies on African migration. We are delighted that several institutions and nations are represented on this 14-person panel, many of whom are not here today because the planning was a little bit short. And so we expect that although they've committed themselves to be on the panel, they were not able to make it. We look forward to them. This includes many countries around the world. We're so pleased that 2 of our panelists were able to make it. That took tremendous effort on their part to be able to get here in time. My office has worked with the UNECA to be able to develop the Common Africa Position, which has fed into the Global Development Network, the Sustainable Development Goals, part of the Agenda 2030 and Africa 2063. All of those are coming together, and the institutions that have been able to promote those will be working with us as we tackle yet another global issue that requires attention. In the end, I hope we can change the narrative on migration and give it a human face, incorporate the benefits in our development agenda, and find sustainable solutions to the challenges. We must pay attention to human issues that migrants face. Migrant is an integral aspect of the population dynamics that needs studies. I look forward to working with all of you, the members of the panel, the institutions that will support the work of the panel. So now let me consider this high-level panel duly launched and ask our panel members to allow everybody to go to work, including ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. For and on behalf of the organizers, we want to thank you for your participation in this opening launching program. We shall now please stand as the President takes leave of us. Following the departure of the President, the panelists will receive the press for press briefing. Shall we all stand?
Copy my fight, I'm not